was material science.
Sure.
So I didn't know. So I have people on the podcast from like all over in all different fields, and I met these material scientists in Istanbul. So these 3 siblings, the Mansours, shout out, Mubashir, Maya, and Miriam, and our conversation back in February just blew my mind. Of like, I went in, and a lot of times I'm familiar with some of these topics,
right?
In sciences and fields. Material science and engineering, I knew very little about, and it was just like I woke up that morning with like a certain perspective on the world.
Sure.
And then after that conversation, it was like, whoa!
Yeah, definitely.
Everything in the world is materials.
What we're sitting on right now, someone formulated this to be the correct density, the correct weight, the correct, erosion resistance. Like, a lot of our world is designed, and it's a really, like, I do occasionally step back and think about how much is just designed, like hopping on the train and making sure that, like, the train doesn't fall off the rails, or things are going on time, or the fact that I have drinking water, or I live in a building. I live on the 8th floor of a building that doesn't fall over. There's a lot of things that I think we take for granted and we just don't think about. And there's people, like everything, someone did this.
Yeah.
Right? Or a team of people did this.
It's so incredible.
It's really incredible. Yeah. Like back to material science. Speaking of concrete, if you go to Rome, right, all of their old classic architecture is still there, and it's survived so long. And then you think about, the concrete that we have here, it's like falling apart. So I think a lot of the recipe that people are trying to follow is like, add this water, and people are trying to add fresh water. But what the Romans didn't specify was you add seawater, because when they say water, they just go, water, as in water from the ocean, and that actually the salt actually helped make a durable product, like all the columns that we have. So there's a lot of uncertainty to what the ancients did that like endure when the stuff that we make now doesn't endure.
So what kinds of things excite you about material science right now?
That is definitely a field that I don't know very much about, but I am actively trying to learn more about.
Okay.
Because like you said, it undergirds our everyday life. So back to like the science of organic chemistry. When you make one little tweak, like you substitute one atom for another, or one atom for a group of atoms, or one group for another group, like you can drastically change the properties of that molecule, whether it's going to a material, or it's a drug, or it's a biomolecule. So when you think about polymers, so commonly called plastics, right? If you have polyethylene, that's like Ziploc bags. But then you substitute a hydrogen for a chlorine, you make polyvinyl chloride, PVC, and that's a completely different material, right? A PVC pipe is much different from a Ziploc bag, and all you do is you just change a hydrogen for a chlorine, or you change that chlorine, you substitute that for something called a phenyl group. That's polystyrene, and that's styrofoam, right? Like the takeout boxes that you have. And like these tiny minute changes can affect so many different things. And of course, like, it's not just mixing things together. You have to add plasticizers to make things like kind of move better. You have I forgot what this other thing called, but to make it maybe more rigid. So you can add additives to sort of modulate the properties of your material, which is like super interesting. Yeah.
Man.
Vulcanizers, that's what it is.
Okay.
Like, with tires. Yeah.
Great word. Kudos to the scientists that came up with vulcanized. It's a great word.
It was something to do with tires. I think adding a little bit of sulfur made the rubber tires that we have on our cars possible. Because before adding sulfur, it was just, it would wear down very quickly. It was very floppy. And then just adding a little bit of sulfur made it the rigid black tires that we have in our trucks and cars.